Hello, spiritual gangsters, and welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Amanda Piraldi, and today we're talking about something that hits deep. Something that sounds beautiful on the surface, but can quietly break you if you're not paying attention. We're talking about loving without losing yourself. Because let's be real for a second. Love is powerful. It can expand you, soften you, heal parts of you that you didn't even know needed healing. But if you're not grounded in who you are, love can also blur your boundaries, silence your voice, and slowly pull you away from yourself, piece by piece. And the wild part? You don't even always notice it happening. It's not like one day you wake up and say, "Hey, I think I'm losing myself." No, it's subtle. It's in the little compromises, it's fine, when it's actually not. I don't want to make a big deal, when your heart is literally screaming. It's choosing peace, but not your peace. And I know this one personally, and I think a lot of us do. Especially if you're someone who loves deeply, if you're empathetic, if you care, if you've been through things that made you hyper aware of other people's emotions. You become the one who adapts, the one who bends, the one who says, "I'll just adapt." But here's the truth that might sting a little. If you have to shrink to be loved, that's not love. Let me say that again for the people in the back. If you have to shrink to be loved, that is not love. That's survival. And you deserve more than survival in your relationships. You deserve to be fully expressed, fully seen, fully heard, not tolerated, not managed, not handled, loved. But here's where we have to get honest with ourselves too, because this isn't just about other people. This is also about the patterns we bring into relationships. Because sometimes we abandon ourselves first. We override our intuition. We ignore red flags. We tell ourselves stories like, "They didn't mean it," or "Maybe I'm just being too sensitive," or my personal favorite, "It'll get better." Meanwhile, your body knows. Your energy knows. You feel it. That tightness in your chest, that pit in your stomach, that subtle anxiety that creeps in when something just feels off. That's not you being dramatic, that's you being aware. But somewhere along the way, a lot of us were taught to disconnect from that awareness, to prioritize being liked over being real, to prioritize keeping the relationship over keeping ourselves. And I want to gently challenge that today. Because the strongest love you will ever experience starts with not abandoning yourself. Not for anyone. Not for potential. Not for history. Not for comfort. Not even for love. Because when you lose yourself trying to hold on to someone else, you don't actually get to experience real love anyway. You experience attachment. You experience fear. You experience control. You experience walking on eggshells. That's not love. That's exhaustion. And you deserve a love that feels like expansion, not contraction. So what does it actually look like to love without losing yourself? It looks like boundaries. And I know boundaries can feel uncomfortable, especially if you're not used to them. Especially if you're used to being the easygoing one, the chill one, the one who doesn't need much. But let me tell you something. You're allowed to need things. You're allowed to have standards. You're allowed to say, "That doesn't work for me," without guilt, without over-explaining, without shrinking it down to make it easier for someone else to accept. Boundaries are not walls. They're not punishments. They're not you being difficult. They're you being clear. They're you saying, "I respect myself enough to not allow what doesn't align." And the right people, they won't be pushed away by your boundaries. They'll be drawn to them. Because healthy people don't want a version of you that's watered down. They want the real you. Now, let's talk about something else that comes up a lot in this space. Overgiving. Oh, overgiving. This one will get you. Giving your time, your energy, your attention, your support, your love over and over and over again without checking in with yourself. Without asking, do I actually have the capacity for this? And over time, what happens? You start to feel drained, resentful, disconnected. And then you feel guilty for feeling that way because you chose to give. But here's the reframe. Healthy love is not about how much you can give. It's about how balanced the exchange feels. You're not meant to pour from an empty cup. You're not meant to constantly prove your worth through how much you do for someone. And you don't earn love by exhausting yourself. And I want you to really sit with that. Because if you've been in patterns where love felt like effort, like proving, like chasing, like fixing, then stillness might feel unfamiliar. Reciprocity might feel unfamiliar. Ease might feel unfamiliar. But unfamiliar doesn't mean wrong. It just means you're stepping into something new. And new can feel uncomfortable before it feels safe. So if you're in a space right now where you're learning to choose yourself more, where you're starting to speak up, where you're starting to say no, where you're starting to notice what doesn't feel right, I want you to know this. You're not becoming too much. You're becoming aligned. And the people who can meet you there will. And the people who can't won't. And that's okay. Because not everyone is meant to come with you into your next level. And I know that part can be hard. Letting go, outgrowing, creating distance, especially when there's history, especially when there's love there. But loving someone does not mean you have to lose yourself to keep them. Let me say that again. Loving someone does not mean you have to lose yourself to keep them. Real love will never require you to disconnect from who you are. It will invite you deeper into yourself. And that's the kind of love we're choosing now. The kind that feels safe. The kind that feels honest. The kind that allows you to be soft without being walked over. Strong without being guarded. Open without being naive. That balance, that's the sweet spot. And it starts with you. It starts with you knowing who you are, what you value, what you need, what you will no longer tolerate. And standing in that, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it means having hard conversations, even when it means risking being misunderstood. Because staying true to yourself will always cost less than losing yourself. Always. So today I want to leave you with a few questions to sit with. Where in your life are you overgiving? Where are you staying silent when you actually want to speak? Where are you saying yes when your body is screaming no? And what would it look like to choose yourself in those moments? Not in a selfish way, in a self-respecting way. There's a difference. Because choosing yourself doesn't mean you stop loving others. It just means you stop abandoning yourself in the process. And that, my friend, is where everything changes. That's where your relationships shift. That's where your energy shifts. That's where you stop feeling drained and start feeling grounded. And when you're grounded in who you are, you don't lose yourself in love. You meet love as yourself, fully, unapologetically. And that's powerful. All right, spiritual gangsters, that's what I've got for you today. If this episode resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on it. Maybe journal on it. Maybe share it with someone who needs to hear it. And as always, thank you for being here, for showing up, and for doing the work, because it matters more than you know. Until next time, stay grounded, stay open, and remember, you can love deeply without losing yourself. Talk soon.